Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. It is episode 9. We have Vee here, and yeah, welcome to the podcast. How is your day going today?
Thanks for having me. It's been a pretty slow day. Not a whole lot going on. Doing a lot of avatar optimization stuff recently. That was a good chunk of my day. Because
Oh,
what is optimization? Performance.
in Unity and Blender stuff?
Yeah. I've had the idea of having a fallback. Wanting to be seen as like myself for a good while now, and a fallback, like you have to have a good rated quest avatar, performance rank or better, and a pain, but
It already has to be good
lots
rating.
of polygon decimation. Yeah, it has to be
Oh my
good
God.
or better on quest. So that's 10k polys. Actually, I can do a quick change really quick because this is my fallback. I'm not sure why the sizing isn't correct, but
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
it's much lower poly, a little simplified. It does have some fizzbones which work on quest, but yeah, so like anyone on any platform, no matter what, they'll see me as this instead of a generic robot or
Yeah.
whatever. So
I
that's-
definitely want to do something like that. I mean, I know Remy already has a fallback, which I could upload, but I do want to get like a Remy one that's like a fallback that does have like the tail and the color changes, which is I don't think it will be that hard or difficult. I'll eventually do one.
We'll see. I'm curious how they're going to if VRChat is going to change like their performance rankings, especially once the Quest 3 comes out. And the Quest 2 is getting a performance boost, like one last, or maybe that already happened, but like one last final update that's like boosting its CPU power by like 20, 25%.
I think it's 20%, 2025. Yeah, I was hearing about that because the Quest 3 is going to be the new XR2 Gen 2 is going to be, what is it? I think 50%. I was hearing something like 50% more powerful than the Quest 2's XR2.
Yeah, I'd be curious too. You're rocking a Quest 1. I'm curious how much of the performance ranking metrics for Quest like are based on Quest 1 versus Quest. I'm going to assume majority Quest 2 because that's probably the majority
Sure,
of their
yeah.
like
I mean,
user base. I don't know.
even though, like, let's kind of go into this. So, like, VRChat Mobile, like, VRChat is, of course, everyone knows is one of the most unoptimized games out there. But if they can get, for example, like other games, right, like Fortnite or like other engines, like huge games, right, running on phones, how are they going to, for example, optimize VRChat enough, have it on a phone if it's very unoptimized? Because the Quest 1 ran on, what was it? A Snapdragon 835, which is a 6-year-old, 7-year-old phone processor, which is very horrible. So I don't even know
Yeah.
how they got VRChat running on this standalone. Like, that's horrible.
And Quest 2 is like an Snapdragon XR2 Gen 1, something or that.
Which
I mean,
is like
it's,
a newer.
it's still
yeah,
an
it's
Android, like,
it's newer.
one of the things that incentivized me to do my like avatar optimization was a couple weeks ago Tupper had a panel on or at Ferality that was all about avatar optimization, like where do my frames go, and gave a lot of avatar advice and general principles for avatar optimization, and I liked it. I really enjoyed the spirit of it and got a lot of good things out of it. You know, like one of the things he talked about was like a future Unity engine upgrade, for example, for helping with performance stuff, and I have to wonder how much benefit that's going to bring to like other platforms like Android.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, I want to say even in one of their last dev updates, they talked about an iOS version, like an iPhone version.
Yeah, I was hearing
maybe
about that. Like,
sometime.
maybe coming
Yeah.
like way later. But I know they're all doing Android stuff first. Like VRChat Mobile is definitely going to be Android first, definitely, and then iOS may be way later.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, which makes sense. And I have to wonder too how much is. I doubt there's a lot of pressure, but like Chill Out VR, CVR, they pushed their Unity 2021 upgrade like a week, 2 weeks ago. So I don't know how much. I've heard mixed things on it. I've never played CVR myself, but I have to wonder like how much pressure that might be putting on VRChat, or whether they just pushed it out to get ahead of the game. Because I know VRChat has specifically been working with the Unity team on their engine upgrade and stuff. But it's, as far as I'm aware, I don't know anything about game engines and stuff, but I just hear it's
Of course,
hard.
yeah. I mean, I know game optimization, game development, working in Unity, everything's crazy. Of course, like, because this whole game mostly runs off Unity and then everything. Like, the whole VRChat community over the years, like, all the worlds, everything's, like, community-based. Like, people made this stuff. Like, everything's kind of made. It's hard to optimize everything. when it's made by like everything's just kind of scrambled into one thing.
Oh yeah, I had this kind of debate with a group of friends the other day, talking about where getting on the topic, getting in too deep of topics for me to go into in terms of like graphical optimization, packing things into optimized data formats and things. But one of the big things that Tupper said in his panel that I largely agree with is there is some responsibility on users to help make this a performant place. There's only so much that can be done. He broke it down into like application layer, that's VRChat obviously, in the game engine. They have to deal with that stuff. Worlds, separate thing, world designers, but then avatars as well. Like
So much moving
optimization
parts.
takes time, and
Yeah.
and not everyone's like a game dev, and heck, most of the game devs, like professional game devs I've met, would not pick Unity as their engine of choice.
It is and it isn't. Like, wouldn't want to really say it's like a very good beginner's template. I mean, Unity, for some people, like it's a very big learning curve for like developing stuff, or like learning how to like do everything in Unity, because there's like so much little things that you could look at. And
Oh yeah, and I mean, a lot of it is just wealth of knowledge that's out there. Like I still do like toggles and animations, kind of the straight like vanilla Unity, building them that way instead of using something like VRC Fury or available tools out. And some of it is frustration too from is it High VR? Like there's a couple of people who've been building tools for VRChat for a while, and they're just like, this Unity crap sucks. Like it's really hard to build stuff to work with this Unity engine, because documentation is thin, and some of it is like a black box how components of it run. And obviously, an engine that's that old has stuff like tech debt, aging code base, that type of thing. So
yeah, of course. I mean, with that stuff, and then it's definitely like, does it age well? How long? Like, does it really age well? And then people that are really experienced even have problems with Unity. It's like kind of crazy with even experienced people trying to develop and everything in Unity. I have a friend named Ginger that's developing their own game called Grindforce fully in Unity, which is like crazy. I could understand like optimizing avatars, but developing an entire game in Unity sounds like a nightmare to me. Like that's just crazy.
I don't remember where I heard it, but I want to say I heard at one point one of the goals or like ideal of like the VRChat creator companion is get someone to be able to, I would think, at least avatars, I don't know about worlds, but like get someone to be able to get content uploaded to the game without ever having to enter or touch like the Unity editor.
Sounds pretty interesting.
So I mean, yeah, I mean it could be intimidating, right? You open the editor and how many different controls and everything, and I mean, even VRChat's documentation, sometimes things are not as clear-cut as they could be. I mean, they're opening up to community stuff, like community contributions now, which is nice. But
yeah, of course. And also, what I kind of want to go into is how VRChat worlds have to be pretty well optimized. I mean, I know the Academy world here is breaking almost even with the amount of like megabytes it is. It's like 98 here. Like, that's almost breaking even. I think for Quest to be Quest compatible, it's 100, right? 100 megabytes? Like, that's almost breaking 100. Like, that's just right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, limitations on.
Yeah.
And especially hearing and going into things of, like, utilization of, like, your underlying computer components or even Quest components, like, things like if you run out of, VRAM or RAM and the capabilities of hardware there, and
of course, yeah.
Really stringent limitations. But the easy answer I have heard to this is, just throw more hardware at the problem, get a better processor,
just throw more hardware. just get a better computer, just get a better processor, get a better graphics card with more VRAM, get a 4090. It's like not everyone has that kind of money though. You know, it's like
yeah. Skill issue.
Skill issue. Just make money.
Oh yeah. Oh.
I mean, to be fair, like I'm running this game off a Ryzen 5 3600 and a 2060 with gigabytes of VRAM. Like, it's not the worst thing ever. I mean, I call it like 6 gigs of VRAM is where you'll perform fine. I mean, you won't entirely die. Like, I've stress tested the crap out of this where I survived like public lobbies. 80 plus people. I'm fine. I'm outliving people at 4090s, but like, you really gotta like optimize literally everything to where I think it's also better too when it makes you optimize everything, because you know how there's crashers and other people that are kind of a little annoying sometimes. of when you have to individually turn people's avatars on, you'll never get crashed ever because you have to individually turn people's avatars on. So you'll never just like, oh, see that avatar and die and crash, which is I think is pretty good.
Yeah, and a lot of that is in my experience, people underutilize the safety settings and comfort settings and graphical tools available to them just in VRChat. Reduce avatars within a certain radius, or only show the nearest 15 or 20 avatars, or even like I run a 5800X3D. I have a 3090. I still explicitly do not show very poor avatars by default.
I have everything off
unless they're like friends, but yeah.
Oh no, I have everything off. I mean, I have to optimize everything because I'm playing not on a total potato, but I'm playing on a Quest 1, and this computer is literally carrying this whole show, pretty much. what we're working with right now.
Yeah, but just people should be aware of, and maybe this is like a VRChat like knowledge issue, but like people should be aware of the tools you have to custom tailor your experience. Just
totally get
granted, someone with a 1.3 VRAM, 1.3 gigabyte avatar with a million polygons or whatever probably should optimize their stuff, but you don't have to see them. You can turn them off.
Oh yeah, probably. Like people are like, oh, your avatar's horrible. Just turn their avatar off. It's pretty simple, It's like you don't have to have their avatar on. And then even with people that are veterans in VRChat that I often meet are people that are like, oh, I'm getting horrible FPS. The first question I ask people, do you have your avatar radius down? Second question I answer, do you have your shield settings optimized? And then half the answers I get are no. And then I help people because it's like lack of information of how optimized you can get your game and how much frames you could pull. Yeah.
Yeah. And I wondered, like, the economic selection factor of the people that can have. This gets more into like philosophical, but like the people that can have like the true experience and be able to see everyone as they want to be are the people that can afford 4090s and 7800X3Ds and.
I mean, it sounds like an amazing experience, but like. To be honest, I'm kind of glad sitting in my own world to be like, oh, I'm working with what I have. But honestly, if I had the privilege of even having the best system, I honestly don't think I would go total overkill on that to have the ability to be like, oh, I want to have everyone on. Like, I don't think I'd even do that if I had the rig or anything. Because it's like, I think it's good to be like, just optimize everything, because optimizing everything and having your computer not run as hard or even just that is like very good, for example, like recording or streaming, because you need things optimized in general for that. And then turn everything else avatars on, maximum FPS, smooth gameplay. There's a lot of moving parts in everything. So it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, you tailor based on the type of experience and content and such that you're doing. And when I was talking with my friends about this optimization thing, I mentioned that I think it's a culture, not necessarily like a cultural problem, but one that I think should be a big point that Tupper said that really stuck with me was be aware of other people's experience and, think of other people. So like optimization to help other people have a smoother experience. Do you really need a massive avatar if it's degrading the experience of other players? Thinking about the community. I mean, like, this is a community-driven and based game.
Yeah,
right.
Like don't use a 2 million poly avatar in a public world. Like, it might look cool. It might have a billion toggles and look amazing and have all these effects, right? But be considerate of all the other people that don't have the best rigs, that are really trying their best to optimize things as much as possible, and they're still dying with, for example,
I had a I can't remember if it was a rave or something like that. This was a while ago, maybe like a year and a half. I've been playing for about 2.5 years. Going to an event where they required poor or better avatars, and I had one friend at the time who just threw an absolute fit. Was like, no, I want to be seen as me in my very poor avatar and all of my toggles and changing clothes and all of it. And why do I have to change? Like that really stuck with me. I was like, why do you need all the bells and whistles and flashing and everything? And
Yeah.
especially for one, you're probably not going to have the greatest experience anyways because
You're running
you know,
such a bad avatar too. It's like your gaming experience is
right.
probably going to be like 20 frames, like not the best, you know, like
the collective experience is down, but yours probably isn't going to be that much better. It just boggled my mind. I was just, ugh.
I mean, of course I joke about this too, but it's also that's the kind of the type of person I joke about where it's like, oh, we're just here to have fun, we're socializing, we're at parties, but we're sacrificing performance to have fun, right? It's like, oh, fuck performance, you know? It's like we're here to have fun, but like performance, I think you have to have a decent amount of performance. Like the minimum for me is like as long as I'm pulling like maybe 30 frames and above, I'm fine. Because I only get around 40 maximum, maybe a little above 40 is what I can get maximum. But like if it's 30 and like a little better than 30 or sitting at 30, it's pretty smooth. Like as long as the general gaming experience is fine. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like an optimal for like optimal for general like frame time, and then just like for, you know, people can adapt to some degree, and then like, you know, what's playable or functional and what doesn't make you motion sick.
Yeah, of course. And often with like VR and motion sickness, and even from my experience, I feel like everyone kind of gets this with VR in their first week or even taking a long break and coming back to VR, is some people I know still get motion sickness often with like certain things in VR. Like for example, flying around with the sharks in this world, like when I'm actually falling from a high like amount of height, it feels like I'm actually falling and it makes me a little motion sick because that's like a little bit because I'm like falling and I'm like, this is trippy to me. And it feels like I'm actually like falling. But then with certain other experiences too of like sometimes of course like bright lights, like really huge lights at clubs or some other stuff will not get me motion sick, but will get me a little dizzy and like it's a little overstimulating when you have so much things in your face and so much things going on. Effectively when it's trying to like affect your ADHD and it's like, oh, I'm trying to focus on the music and this in front of me, but then everyone around me, but then I have all this other stuff going on and it's like, what do I pay attention to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely very distracting. Yeah. I don't know. Just a general value, core value kind of thing. Like thinking of things like, why should I care about performance or optimization? Like, are you only thinking about yourself or are you thinking about other people?
Yeah, I think people don't really think about other people. But then often going back to like the kind of just general VR experience about like with motion sickness, either kind of some people get over it, but I mean I still have it a little, and I've been playing this game for maybe 7 months now, and I'm always pretty much in VR usually. Like I love being in VR even without full body tracking. It's like still much better than just being like playing like a flat screen game. It's like for the most part, if you played enough, you kind of feel like you're actually here. It's pretty. I wouldn't want to say crazy in the fact of like, well, maybe a little bit. Like that's the whole point of VR is to get you immersed enough and trick your brain to being like, oh, I'm actually here, right?
Yeah, your brain will fill in the gaps for whatever you're missing to some degree. Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy of how that even goes into how crazy the human brain is, of how crazy it can adapt to an environment.
Oh, thinking about stuff like phantom sense and
like all this other crazy stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. It's fascinating.
Mm-hmm. And also what this game's done for so much people, and kind of even just what it's done for me, of like the fact of how you could kind of going back to your friend, and it's like, oh, I want to just be myself, right? Like I understand that, but then also for the most part, be considerate of others of what you're wearing and how optimized it is. But then also be yourself, express yourself, what avatar you want to be, what outfits you want, and like being able to be like kind of just like look kind of like what you want to look like, right? And be very comfortable, because I'll be honest, try to name any other game out there that does this, where you could embody pretty much anything fully custom that you want to be, you feel comfortable in, and you could just kind of go pretty much wherever in the virtual world. And this kind of experience doesn't exist anywhere else at the moment. And it's crazy on how much it's helped people be themselves, be more comfortable with themselves, find their gender identity, just a whole array of things. Yeah.
Yeah, explore who they are. Another point for optimization, because obviously you want people to see you as you. Like,
Yeah, it's like
you don't want people to see generic fallbacks, banana and with sunglasses or whatever.
yeah. Also, yeah, it's just also that
Yeah.
experience of when you're optimized and everyone can see you, right? Like even you're making a good experience for everyone. Like even the Quest standalone people can see you, and it's like they're not having a bad time because they don't feel left out. I feel like oftentimes they feel left out because they can't see the cool avatar you're wearing.
Yeah, but extremely empowering, especially on an identity level. I know that a bit firsthand because let's see, I got my headset February of like 2021, and I started medically transitioning, trans woman, male to female. I started transitioning the summer before, so like I was still trying to figure out who this new person was when I got a VR headset, and this is actually the base model for this was the second avatar I picked, like day one of VRChat. Like I looked in the mirror and I'm like, nope, this is it. This do I still have it? It's funny too because it's a Vocaloid base. Yeah, this one. This
Oh, Vocaloid base. Oh wait, I think that one's really cool. That one's really cool.
Yeah, not a very popular one. I actually have a close friend who like uses this avatar too.
I haven't seen it around much.
I found this like day two or day one of like VRChat. This was the second avatar, and I'm looking like this face. Yep, this form stuff, and this is
it's kind of build. It kind of like fits you. Yeah.
Yeah, and then just slowly over time, just the modifications, customized it, made it to tailor it to fit me, and especially blurring the line between. I enjoy the experience of I forget who said it, but there was this someone put out this idea of like people have their real identity, their real world identities, who they are in the physical world, and then their digital identities, who they are online, and historically like patterns of being like online identities like more emotional, more darker, more intimate, and now we're running close to a point where these like converging points with technologies like VR and stuff, and even brain computer interfaces where these identities are kind of blurring and converging, and it's getting increasingly hard to go back and forth in between. I mean, I physically have this outfit. Like when I went and met a friend last weekend, and I dressed identical to my avatar to be, and so just that kind of merging of identities, that type of thing fascinates me. So that kind of exploration of identity space.
It's amazing. And also just on the general fact, I mean, I'm pretty chill with, I guess, most things. I'm more pretty much a lot of my takes are just what I kind of think about most things. It's very neutral. It's partially because I've adapted to just kind of everything of like, oh, if you're too controversial, it's bad. If it's the other way, it's also bad. So ever since I've been on the internet, I'd say 6 years ago, like I just generally am pretty safe, but like still have a reasonable take on most things. It's kind of how I kind of curve my thoughts around that like tough in the middle. Yeah.
No. So.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's so cool though. Like Remy, like I know there was a Remy boom at one point, but like I think I just missed it. I mean, I heard last year there was a Remy boom when Cam first came out with the Avatar, and then he released Teeny like not that long ago, like his newest one, which I bought, which was really cool. I was like, oh, really cool. This is the newest one. There's a bow and arrow on it. It's pretty cool. I shoot arrows at people. Honestly though, like I like that kind of stuff. But then I first bought an avatar. My first VRC avatar was Remy because I wanted something more optimized. Because what I've realized is when I was using very poor avatars, and like my first avatar was a Rindo, I was tanking, and I mean tanking frames in Publix. Like, and this is before I had like optimized settings, of course. That like for like we're talking about the lack of information of shield settings and everything else. I was tanking. I was tanking around from like 30 to like 20s, which is like, and then what I was often told my first like week or 2 to like 3 weeks was like, oh, this is normal. This is VRChat. This is the most unoptimized game out there. You're gonna take frames all the time. Like, but I was like, is there a way to make it better? And then most of the answers I got was no, until I figured out how to make it better over time to what I've gotten to now. And then what helped with that was going out and buying an optimized avatar. And then over time, I was like, looking at the avatar, I was having fun. I was like, I picked it because I love the cyberpunk aspect of it, more futuristic, because I really like that stuff and am interested. But then also, I mainly picked it because, kind of like you said, it really fits like you could say like a goal to what I want to look like more like, but I'd say it generally is very close to my IRL build. So I'd say I'm pretty fit IRL. Like I used to run cross country and play volleyball. So I'd say it's
Nice.
not exactly like this, but it's for the most part like I have like the exact like if you're imagining like stick arms, like this is actually like what my arms look like. It's not like
Physical. Yeah.
crazy like like I'm like huge or anything. I'm fucking short. I'm small. I have stick arms. Like, like
Oh
maybe,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh man.
yeah. Like maybe like
Ugh.
lower body strength. Like maybe a little bit of this. Like maybe a little bit. I used to play back row in volleyball. I'm squatting 90% of the game. But other than that, like I'm trying. Like my metabolism fucking hates me. It's like
Yeah. No, that's a. I mean, even like modifying this was a panda base, and like a lot of the general female bases are like pretty well endowed and pretty thick, and I'm like, I'm not, and even if I would like to be, I no, I need to like slim this down and be close
yeah,
to my
yeah.
actual form.
That's why I generally picked this one too, because it was like very close to like my actual like build, like even the upper body part. I'd say this is like very close to like what my shoulders look like, and it's not like some of the other avatars, which are like freaking huge in certain
Yeah.
areas that I can't mention. But damn,
Right. Right.
but
Yeah.
like,
No. Oh. Yeah.
I
I'm
mean, oh,
mentioning that with a roommate the other day of like, could you induce like body dysmorphia with someone? Like, insert them in an avatar that doesn't physically match them, and they're like, "What is this?
they're
Oh,
like, they're like,
whoa, this."
wait a second, hold up. Like another topic I want to hit is even just not like just Dysphoria or a bunch of things, but VRChat helps people that just don't like who they look like IRL. Like my friend Taketa, very good friend of mine. I think you might have met him a little bit, maybe like
I think
briefly,
so. Yeah.
like very briefly.
Hmm.
He stopped by Moonlit Academy that one night. I think you
Hmm.
said hi to him before he had to hop off for the night, but very briefly. But he's very cool. He generally doesn't like what he looks like IRL, so he's a little bit of an artist. He does V-Roid stuff, but he's basically customized an avatar and drew it himself to like what his goal is, but generally to what he actually looks like. He changed the hairstyle up a little bit. But yeah, he plays that avatar because he's like, this is a goal of what I want to look like, but then also I just feel more comfortable. He's like in the virtual world, like we go through so much pain of just like, oh, we wear VR headsets for 6 hours. We don't want to leave the virtual world because we feel more comfortable here. This is what we feel comfortable in, what we look like, what we want to look like, right? Because we don't want to go back to reality of like when you kind of look in the mirror in reality, it's like it's all right. I would like to be different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, and physical limitations, and then the effort required to change. Like, there involves a lot more effort to change your
yeah,
physical
yeah,
form in the real world than here. So.
yeah. I mean, it's kind of crazy too because it's a lot of work here because oh my god, avatar customizations and everything. Oh my god. Other than that,
Yeah,
it's
it's
even more
not
difficult
perfect.
IRL.
Yeah.
Like of just like, oh, I gotta
Yeah.
work out. I gotta do this. I gotta do this. I gotta medicate like my diet and like do all this other things, and it's like, oh my god, that's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Well, all that put together, it's just oh, exhausting.
Yeah, just exhausted thinking about it. I'm like, damn.
Yeah. Touching on the topic of like people who don't necessarily want to be themselves, or people who want to who don't feel comfortable as themselves and things like, I think VR is has a lot of promise as a therapeutic tool for helping people with
Oh,
that type of thing,
yeah.
or all sorts of stuff.
I really want to hit something on this.
No, sure.
Okay, but yeah, definitely like kind of like I joke about this a little bit of how, VR could really help like even I know we kind of say this as a meme a little bit, but like it really could help people with not feeling like comfortable with what they look like, and just being in VR could help with that, or even just like kind of like setting a goal for yourself even. Or often like what the words I'm looking for, but kind of just be more comfortable with yourself. It's crazy on what this
Yeah.
game can do, and kind of really just make you feel comfortable in just like even just setting more goals for yourself and like working to that is amazing.
Yeah, here, I'll share. If it's okay, I'll share a story of a friend of mine
Of
who,
course, yeah.
I'm gonna make sure I anonymize info
Oh yeah,
properly,
let's
but
keep like names.
yeah,
And,
yeah,
yeah,
but yeah, it's
yeah.
it's a fascinating use case of the power of VR
Of course.
as a tool to address mental health issues that someone has. I have a friend
Their name in
who
the story
is a
Blue. I dedicate them as Blue. Yes.
okay. So Blue is a cis man, who is has a fairly prominent religious belief and wants to stick to that. And I believe is married as well. And he has gender dysphoria. He struggles with gender dysphoria, and his choice of action is when he comes in VR, he uses a voice changer and he presents as a female avatar, and he behaves and takes on mannerisms and is basically like a mom, like a VR mom type
Oh,
figure.
soccer mom. Oh, hell yeah.
VR.
Oh, hell yeah. Let's go.
Yeah. And that, for him, that addresses enough of his dysphoria that he is able to function and continue as a reasonably regulated adult in society. And so I'm here for it. Like
That's amazing.
For VR to be able to act as a therapeutic tool and help him in that regard is like, yes, more of that. Like
we need more. We need to show people this.
Yes. Yeah. So.
And honestly, that's kind of crazy. And honestly, I'll be completely honest on the fact of, I feel like the very controversial topic is going around recently is, oh, we should have let VR develop a little bit more. We should have waited a couple years before the Quest 2 came out. But then also there's that controversial topic of, oh, if we let VR cook a little longer, it would have went from this to dipping because, oh, people are like, oh, we hate Zuckerberg because of et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But if the Quest 2 never came out and sold as much as it did and the hype never reached mainstream media, people are like, oh, controversial theory, oh, VR would have fell off. VR would have never gotten as big as it did. We would have never had the Quest 2, like all this other conspiracy theories and all this other stuff.
Yeah, lots of people, well, skeptical with like any kind of new technology. Where we've been seeing that recently with AIs. Like, okay, we need like a 6-month or whatever moratorium on AI development because we need to make sure it's properly aligned. And
yeah, but the thing with
I'm not
VR
saying it's an easy problem to solve.
Of course.
Yeah.
The thing with VR is why I kind of think it's right and wrong at the same time is because without Zuckerberg and the Quest 2, we wouldn't have VR as big as it is now. Definitely. And I don't think Apple would ever have made the move of like, we want a piece of this. This is looking to be huge. We're creating our own headset. We want a piece out of this market, right? Apple would have never made their move, in my opinion, right? But then also the fact of if we did let VR develop more, have something like the Index Quest 1 and everything, just older tech be like out there for longer, we would have had more games for Steam VR. We would have had more games for Quest standalone. People would have had more time to develop their like experience with Unity and other stuff and make more games and get more experience with that and let VR cook more until we had something like the technology of the Quest 2. So it's good and it's bad of everything that's happened. But I would kind of like, I might get flames for the fact of I think that the Quest 2 kind of outweighs just a slight bit more of the negatives, because I think VR would have been pretty slow for the next couple of years if we didn't have something like that big of a boom, right? Yeah.
Yeah, particularly if nothing else, like I'd always found it interesting, the focus of a lot of VR companies kind of initially making their foray into like entertainment and/or games, and then a big shift in my eyes to enterprise, like
Yeah, yeah.
HTC's Vive Pro I and others, and even Zuckerberg with the Quest Pro, like heavily marketing them as enterprise like work devices,
Or like
I guess I
workflow
find it
devices.
interesting that
Yeah.
I guess I find it interesting that it seemed like there was a much larger push in that direction when the tech really wasn't there yet, in contrast with the consumer side.
Yeah, or like the tech was like, oh, you're going for all the consumer stuff, but then you really shifted from, oh, let's go full consumer to let's really shift our eyes to other huge things like workflow and all this other stuff, which I feel like it would have
Enterprise.
worked. Yeah, it would have worked more if we had more development for AR technology and other things. Like it would have definitely worked better if we had more stuff for that, but there's barely anything out for AR stuff. I feel like AR is in that type of stage right now, I'd say, which is like the Rift. I wouldn't say like Rift S, like beginner Rift S standard, but it's definitely new. It's still very new on the fact of it's not as developed as current VR. Like AR is still like in the baby stages of like it's not fully developed yet. Let it cook more. Let it develop more. Then develop more technology and stuff for that. Even with the Varo XR3 and all this other crazy stuff, like AR is crazy, but to get to that level, you drop $7,000, drop a subscription, get all this other stuff. Like that's insane. Yeah.
Yeah, it's still going to be. I mean, maybe the Apple Vision Pro proof of concept of like a solid AR capable spatial computing device, maybe.
Maybe.
Because I on Varjo's website they had like a GIF animation like video of someone with a I think an XR3 cameras walking around an empty showroom and like seeing a Ferrari like race car or some sort of like show car, like animated stuff, and they were like XR3 and then a Zotac like really bulky like backpack computer, and I'm like, okay, yeah, promise. Like obviously you need that kind of juicy power, like that kind of.
Oh yeah, but that kind of rig
really hard
is heavy,
to be like
right?
computing power to do it.
Yeah, like imagine wearing a backpack with a full computer rig, like walking around just to use your VR headset. Like that was crazy.
Right, but it's like we almost might be at the edge where we don't, because like I watched the Apple Vision Pro announcement and they showed their headset and looking at like an F1 race car, like similar scenario to the Varjo. And I'm like, if they can do that with just a headset and a battery pack,
how far off is it? How far is this tech, and what are they keeping from us? Right, is what it is. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and man, like game changer. But I mean, I'm also of the camp. I mean, I pre-ordered a big screen beyond. I'm also like a major personally comfy maxi of here is all this fantastic computing capabilities. In the short term, get it off our heads. Because
of course.
we don't need the weight. We don't need the weight on our heads. Like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's the amazing thing about the Beyond. Like, even though you're sacrificing field of view, of course. Oh my God, it's an amazing concept of even what the CEO Deshaun was like. Let's get rid of fucking everything, all the weight, everything. Literally, just slim it down as much as possible because it's PC VR. The computer's doing all the work. I love that. I love that one company was like, finally, let's just do it, right? And let's
you know. Yeah, from a business perspective, you're obviously targeting and focusing a very niche market. Like you're targeting powered Steam VR ecosystem users already, but there's a proven market like for it.
Oh, there is, yeah. I mean, I think it's just people never really wanted to take that risk, you know? I mean, even the Valve Index is $1,000, right? But then that is a lot for a headset and an investment. And then everyone knows the risks of getting an index and what problems you could have if you're not careful with it. The delicate controllers, the base stations, everything of taking care of your technology, right? And not being too rough with it. But then even just the fact of catering to that very niche market, full body tracking, very niche market. Not many people have full body tracking, but how much of a game changer it is, of how much the full body tracking war is going on right now, how it's breaking out even more of like, oh, we got hardcore wireless coming out. We got the market is getting more and more saturated, even with these new HTC Vive camera trackers coming out. Like those are gonna have to be very competitively priced because we have all these other options.
Competition,
yeah. It's like the competition's getting pretty crazy.
Yeah, Like in my idealized future, and I almost hope that like the Valve Deckard Gaben please could be something like it, but like have like a beyond form factor something, and then some sort of side compute, almost like if you played Breath of the Wild, like a Sheikah Slate.
Ooh, okay.
Like a wearable, like a Steam Deck. Imagine a Steam Deck that could hold all your compute, and you just wear that like on your waist or something, and that's powers the compute of a beyond form factor headset.
Okay.
Man,
I
and
can see
I know
something
people
like
have
that.
gotten the I know people have gotten the Quest 2 kind of working on a Steam Deck. Like it is possible.
Yeah, I've seen experiments and
but
stuff.
like we could get there. Yeah. Like that. Oh man, that would
be amazing. Okay, so here's my ideal, I'd say, VR headset, or what the Deckard would look like. And I don't think you totally agree on the fact of it might be a little bulky. But like the fact of like it might have to be a little bulky, because what if we had, for example, eye tracking with it, face tracking, like we could try to slim it down as much as possible, but that would be amazing. Deckard, fully standalone too. Fully wireless, right? Like a very powerful processor in that thing, but it would have to be semi-bulky, because if it was semi-bulky, right, we could do here's another idea: the engineering fact of, instead of having the actual battery pack in the headset like the Quest 1, the Quest 2, right, let's have an external battery pack that you carry somewhere, and that is the battery for the headset. It's not actually in the headset, so we can slim it down even more,
like what Apple's doing.
Yeah,
with their, I believe it's the battery puck, that powers the
like that. We could do something with that with the Deckard. Like that's the engineering and the thinking behind it of what we could do to make it slim and have all these features still.
Yeah, I always have to wonder what happened with them. If you've heard of Project Galea at all.
I've heard a little bit about it.
Galea was a collaboration initially between Valve and OpenBCI, which is an open source brain computer interface thing. I have one of their headsets, actually, an Ultra Cortex one. But like combining a VR headset with electrodes on like the strap and back to potentially like read brainwaves and use that to customize a VR experience, collect data that way.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Let's see. Because they were doing it with Valve Indexes, they pivoted to Varjo Arrows, and it was like $22,500 for a headset.
That's a lot of money.
But like the potential there for, I mean, that gets into like the idea of being able to read brainwaves and determine, like, figure out like what people are seeing, how they're interacting in a virtual or augmented, even for AR experience, and use that to help modify and like tailor the VR AR experiences. It's extremely fascinating to me, brain neuroscience in general, but like a very fascinating idea, immediately followed by, do I trust a corporation like, say, Meta with a brainwave reading headset?
I do not trust that. Zuckerberg's gonna take all our information. I don't trust, personally, hey, personally, I don't trust Zuckerberg with all this stuff. You saw what he did with the Quest 2. Quest 2 sign and release. Yo, guys, we want all your information now. Everything. Put it in. Yeah. I don't trust it with that. Hey, no.
I mean, even like this was a project that was initially, I was like, it's Valve, and I really like Valve as a company, but I don't even know that I would trust them with that information.
Yeah.
I don't know. Data privacy and other
all this other crazy stuff. I mean, the thing is, for the amount of Zuck on these nuts jokes I've actually made, I think everyone would be millionaires by now. But like, I know we make a lot of Zuckerberg jokes, but I mean, I'll be honest though, I don't totally hate the guy. I mean, he's weird. He looks like a lizard, but like, come on. The amount of stuff he's done with the Quest 2, and I mean, the one thing I will never forgive him for, he kicked out the godfather of VR. The god, the myth, the legend, Palmer Luckey. We fucking love this guy, right? Like, honestly, here's the thing though. To have a successful business, right, you need the marketing, and then you need the product, right? So, but the one thing they literally kicked out was they have that one, but then at some point you're going to go bankrupt, which is what Meta's stock is like, going up, and it's going, right? But then they don't have that, like, kind of design, right? Like, which they literally kicked out. I don't think Zuckerberg understood at the time of how big VR was going to get, but then also he didn't care of, like, he didn't really think into the future of, like, we might need this guy, of like they really should have kept Paul Luckey because he literally knows everything. He's the godsend godfather of VR, created everything in Oculus Kickstarter, you know, like that's something I'll never forget that guy for. Yeah.
An important, valuable asset. Yeah.
Hey, that's his loss. I'm gonna say no. That's his loss.
Yeah.
This is another reason why I still vouch for this Quest 1. It's the last amazing,
Fair, yeah.
last amazing and big project he worked on.
Yeah. And how is a man like? I have to wonder, like, comfort, design, and like functionality and stuff. My Index was my first headset, so I've never done like any older headsets and things because I've heard some people are like, oh, the older headsets, like for what they were actually like really good and even better than
oh
some
yeah,
of the
I've
more
heard the
modern
CV1
ones, and...
was godsend. Like I've heard everyone said that when they used the CV1, a lot of it was comfortable, which is an older headset.
Yeah, and that's I have a Quest 2 with the deluxe strap and everything, and I could wear that for maybe the extent of the battery life. But by that point, like I'm already like worn down physically into like the strain on my head.
Oh, people call me crazy. Because here's the thing, right?
Contrast with I have fallen asleep in my Index.
Oh yeah, the Quest 1 here is about 70 grams heavier. It might not seem like much. That's a significant amount more than the Quest 2. Around 571 grams. The Quest 2 is around 505. So that's a significant amount more heavy than the Quest 2. But then this thing is so top heavy that I think it is heavier because the one thing that the Quest 1 has over the Quest 2 is it has a bigger battery in it. It does last way longer, but then another reason why it lasts longer, and this is going to be the kicker of what people don't realize, is how much power the Quest 2 uses, right? Of how much power it draws, of how powerful it is, which is great. But it drains your battery, even on tether. It draws so much power that there's not enough power delivery to the USB to keep it alive. The reason why the Quest 1 dies so slowly is because it's dog shit. I'll be completely honest. Because the headset is crap, it doesn't draw enough power, so it dies slower. That's it. It's crazy. This thing lasts for like 8 hours.
Do you want a wonderful experience for an hour or two, or do you want a mediocre experience for 8 hours?
Yeah, it's like, do you want a okay experience? I mean, it's not bad. Off a computer, it's like you want a okay experience off a link cable and have a pretty okay VR experience. You want visual fidelity off the wazoo, Quest 2, crazy everything, right? But only have 3 to 4 hours of battery life, like half of that.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's...
the sacrifices,
like everyone has
the sacrifices we have to make, Vee, the sacrifices. No.
Oh yeah, and you know, I definitely don't fault anyone for like. I tell people, and I personally like evangelize the Beyond because I'm a comfort maxi, but like some people, wireless is a huge, or even shareability, like being able to share a headset.
Some people must be a must,
and I get it.
I've talked to like Ronan and my friend Robert, and Robert runs the Quest Pro with eye tracking, and Ronan runs fully air-linked, decked-out Quest 2. But yeah, honestly, for some people, that's a game changer on the fact of, oh, I could go fully wireless. But then here's my argument that's the real kicker. If you run a pulley system, you don't have the problem of the wire. It's pretty much wireless. Get a pulley system.
Yeah. Yeah, but not everyone can drill or wants to drill into their ceiling.
Or you know, like stick adhesive on your ceiling and then peeling it off and then having to repaint your ceiling because it peeled off the paint. And then we're not going to talk about that. But
oh.
Well, other than that,
so many options.
Yeah, pulley system is dub. Other than that, but like, I mean, I'll be honest. It's something you realize you don't need until you try it out. I was like, oh, not cope. Wire's just here dangling. It's vibing. I gotta kick it out of the way every 10 minutes, but like, oh, it's chilling, right? Gets a pulley system. I'm never going back to the wire dangling.
I was gonna say, it's so nice. Game changer.
It's so nice.
Yep.
It's like just not having it here. Like it's usually chilling right here, right? It's not there. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh no, but it's crazy. I mean,
the trade-offs.
I mean, for the amount of like money and weird things and stuff I've put on a Quest 1, I mean, I'd say I've pretty much bought every single accessory for this thing. But when this thing is fully spec'd out, I mean, it's really not that bad. I mean, I'd still say it's a decent, and people are going to call me crazy, but I think it's a very good beginner and a very good, decent competitor in today's market, even. Because, one, people are getting rid of them because people don't want them. It's very old, and people are like, most people don't have computers that can run it. But the reason why, hear me out. Hear me out. Hey, I am coping, but I'm not coping that hard. Grabs the camera. I am coping, but it's not that bad. I'm not what? Come on. Vee. Okay, hear me out. I got this. I'll convince everyone. I got this. So, the reason why. Good beginner headset. You have the battery life, for example. 8 hours? That's a lot of battery life. That's pretty fucking good, you know? Then, you could have a pretty decent computer, 1050 maybe even, or something horrible, and you could still run this thing completely fine. That's the reason why, the trade-off of you don't need a powerful rig to run a Quest 1 and get good performance, to optimize everything. Because it's so bad, it doesn't need a lot of power delivery, that much, to keep it alive. It's very cheap. You can maybe, if you're lucky, even, I don't even want to say if you're lucky, like, you could find this thing for 50, 60 bucks. Pretty much decently used, decently new, because people are just getting rid of them. People don't want them anymore. And yeah, it's like very easy to get your hands on a Quest 1 because people just don't want them. They're sitting around people's houses. They have upgraded already. And people are like, oh, have it. Even some people are like, for free because it's trash, right? I mean, that's kind of what I think. I mean, there are worse headsets, and over time, I think the Quest 1 is one of the older headsets that stood the test of time the best, because Rift S, for example, hooks up to a computer, you destroy that cable, you are fucked, because that thing was the main thing, right? The Quest 1 was better, because link cable, you destroy your link cable, replace it, USB slot, easy, right? Quest 1 eventually will get OLED panel failure, but, I mean, that might come in like a year or two, maybe, I'd say heavily used 2 years at most, right? But like, that's enough time for VR to develop, and you know, that's a good beginner experience. Like, yeah, I mean, I think I have a decently valid argument. Okay, it's a cheap option.
Yeah.
Would you rather
like
get a cheap,
bare bones, like,
yeah, bare bones cheap option? You ready? Like, it's like, oh, you already have a good computer or a decent computer like I do, right? And you want to try VR, and you don't have the money to go like, oh, I don't have the money to go buy a Quest 2, even spend 300 bucks. Go on eBay, go on like Facebook Marketplace, get a Quest 1, try VR, you know? Be like, oh yeah, this is pretty cool. Like, you have that option to get a decently good VR experience and a decently good headset. And people are like thinking, oh, I need to go buy a $500 Quest 3, $300 Quest 2. Like, you really don't. And
yeah,
honestly,
that's the point where used hardware,
is pretty
is
decent.
competitive enough tech-wise and pricing-wise, where especially for an initial foray into the field of VR.
Yeah, definitely. Like, oh yeah, the Quest 1 is definitely not near the best. Yeah. It's definitely old. But this thing, for the most part, and it might just be my copium, but it does hold up an okay amount in today's market.
No, I had the money at the time of my first headset. It was and is still my trusty index, but like, okay, you know, I think you pilled me. Like, if I were like 50, 60 bucks, small potatoes, like, okay, like I'm sold.
Yeah,
Quest 1 would be on my radar.
Yeah, like, it's like, you could get something totally worse, but like 50, 60 buck Quest 1 to try VR, that's not a bad deal. I'll be honest with you. It sounds pretty great. It's a decently good monitor.
Well, all right.
Yeah.
I'm selling my index. I'm getting a Quest 1.
Okay, no. I mean, the thing is, I want to go into this too. I mean, the index is similar to the Quest 1. People are going to be like, oh, it's not similar in any way. It is closer than you think it is. It came out the same year, or decently the same. The thing that the index has on the Quest 1 is the visual quality is better. The FPS is better. The refresh rate, everything's better. The field of view, definitely better. The screens, though, are pretty much the same, with the fact of this is dual OLED, 1400 by 1600. They're both 1400 by 1600 per eye. So the resolution's the same, pretty much. There's only a significant amount of things that are different, but they are closer, decently closer than you think they are. I think that's what people don't realize.
Yeah. Yeah, and everyone has their preferences. I mean, man, I'm gonna get beyond. I'm probably gonna miss the index FOV a little bit because definitely a bit of an FOV downgrade. But I've had people like, well, the FOV is bigger, but you have worse pixel density and visual quality. Is it really any better? You can just see more junk. I don't know. Honestly, like my biggest thing with the Beyond and stuff is I'll finally have a headset that's to my correct IPD. My IPD is so small, it's smaller than my index will actually like slide down on.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I have a really small IPD.
What's your IPD? Have you measured it?
54 and a half.
It's a 54?
And yeah, and the index only goes down to 58. Most of the major ones only go down to 58. So like I'm already like,
okay, I did Google this. I did Google this the other day. I think the average general IPD for most of the population is, yeah, I think 58 to something. But then that means like people with, like your IPD, it doesn't work, right? It's like we have to have something that's like kind of that. And to be honest, a perfect.
It's functional. It's just most say like eye strain and stuff like that. So
yeah. Like, I didn't really pay attention to that much stuff. Even I'd say honestly until recently too. Like I was getting a decent amount of eye strain because I was like, until I like actually used like an app on my phone. Very simple, like app on my phone. Oh, like what's my actual IPD? And it did help a bunch. Of like that's the one advantage also of the Quest 1 to the Quest 2, guys. We have the IPD slider. That's very nice. I mean, I hope
the Quest 2 doesn't.
How it has 3 stages. It is god awful.
No. But I mean, I do know I'm definitely a special case. Like I'm on the very small end of IPDs.
Oh yeah, but
what it is. But
I mean, mine's 62. Yeah. Oh my god, the amount of times I actually have to squish my headset to my face. Like, so the lenses are very close together because my pupil density is like very close. But then that means it's crushing your face because the amount of times I have to push this thing and then crank this thing. Like crank the headset to get maximum FOV. It's like kind of crushing my face. But it's like, like over time, I'd say it gets better over the play session. Like my eyes adjust to the pupillary distance and it's like fine over time. But like, yeah, other than that, I mean, it's better. It doesn't hurt as much. Definitely with the Deluxe audio strap. I get more FOV. It's pretty nice. Yeah. I mean, also, personally, FOV is not really such a goal for me. Because personally, I don't think it would affect me that much because I have half my depth perception. I am physically and legally blind. I cannot see out of my right eye, so I don't think FOV would benefit me as much as other people would with VR.
Yeah, I will be curious with accessibility in the future. I've had a couple of people with like vision problems, and it's like, are they capable of using VR if they have poor vision in one eye, and how that'll work? And but also, but also the era of didn't Meta have a study at one point that was like, hey, you really shouldn't give your kids the Quest 2 because like it might screw with their eye development.
Let's really talk about this. Let's really talk about this. We love 2023. We love babysitters and actual parents being like, oh, we don't have to teach our children to an extent. Let's just give them an iPhone. Let's just give them a Quest 2. They get on VRChat. Screaming into their microphones is we have parents that are horrible parents that shouldn't be parents that are sticking their kids in VR. It's bad.
Well, because they're expecting the iPad or Quest 2 to teach their kid for them.
It's not gonna teach the kid for them. Be a good parent, please.
That involves effort, though. Come on.
That's too much effort. It's like, can't teach my kid too much effort. It's like, okay, but this is also the worst thing. Like, with the Quest 3 coming out, it's decently accessible. All the features coming out, very cool. But also, it is $500, it's $200 more. But that also begs the question, are there more people going to get into VR? And my answer is I think yes. There are going to be an influx of people that see the Quest 3 and like, that's cool, I want to try VR again. And there are going to be an influx of more standalone users with VR with the Quest 3 launch. Definitely.
We're gonna get the influx of the separate the wheat from the chaff kind of thing, whatever the expression is, because like we're gonna get the cool people who like we want to hang out with, and the people who will do things like explore their identity and get psyched by VR tech and want to build on it, and then
we're gonna get
screaming kids. Or,
we're gonna get the screamers. We're gonna get the screamers. You ready? The funny thing is, the Quest microphone's already terrible as is, so when they scream into them, it's like the microphone actually sounds blown out during a hurricane. It's bad. Like, it is bad.
Oh. Well, it's just going to be the seasonal migration.
Seasonal migration of new people in VR! Woo!
Well, the seasonal of, like, Christmas comes and all the PC players are like, we're going to stick to PC-only worlds, because we don't want to deal with new Quest players.
Okay, also, here's the thing. I mean, I hang out here pretty regularly. It's a very good spot to hang out. But honestly, I'll be honest, I might hang out here less during the winter because, oh my god, there's going to be influx of people, and oh my god, the moderation team's going to have to work so much harder here. Like, it's going to be so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, also...
Well,
here's a little bit of a
hit or miss.
From,
here's a little bit of
summer
now, so
yeah.
But continue.
I mean, here's a little bit of lake from Tizzy too. I mean, also just shout out to Tizzy. Tizzy's amazing. We love Tizzy. But like, Android might be coming out soon. It will be. The leak was there will be exclusive VRChat Plus, which will be good beginning right on mobile. But that means there will finally be VRChat Mobile, and once they release it to the public. Oh my god, are we gonna have actual influx of people? The amount of people that are gonna be in VR is crazy. Like, that's gonna be huge. The amount of little Timmies playing VRChat in school is gonna be bad. The amount of Asian parents we will hear in the background of, Timmy, what the fuck, you did not complete your homework, do the dishes. Jesus Christ, they don't know how to mute their microphone. The amount of that we're gonna hear is gonna be bad.
Yeah, we'll see, because like I did like the processor math for, or not like the full math, but like, okay, what kind of phone processor and phone specs would you need to run VRChat? I'm like, if you wanted to run it on par with the current Quest 2 experience, you would probably need a phone that was around or after the Quest 2 came out, which is 2020.
Pretty decent.
So within the past 3 years.
Yeah.
So we're not gonna see kids running this. We're not gonna see. Oh, well, okay, but then again, like parents buying their kids the latest phone or whatever. Who knows?
It could be that.
Who knows?
Okay, but here's the thing, though. We might. Okay, I'm praying, but the amount of. Okay, I'm gonna get flamed in the comments. I know. Please don't kill me. Please don't kill me. Please. Okay, the amount of people who uses Android. Okay, like who uses Android? Like, let's be honest. Like, there are a lot of Android users, but like. How much people have a newer Android phone and how much people on the newer Android phone? Let's go play VRChat. I think we're going to have a much bigger problem when we have VRChat on iPhones. It's going to be huge. It's going to be such a big problem. You know, like that's what I'm thinking.
Maybe.
Because of course a lot of people use Android, but like I think, and here's my honest general take on things. Like, of course I could be totally wrong or totally dead on, but how much kids do you know nowadays, younger kids, that are exposed to the internet, but then literally the stereotype, I want an iPhone, right? The amount of kids that are like, I want an iPhone, I don't want an Android. Of how much kids that are using iPhones, newer iPhones, which is way more popular, iPads, than Android phones. So I think I could be dead on or way off of how much kids are in VR on mobile. I don't think it's going to be that much. Like, it's going to be less. Maybe. Hopefully. Please, God. Please.
I mean, a good portion of that is going to be, like, how many other markets can capture it. Like, Roblox VR, Roblox on mobile. Is Roblox on phones already? I feel like it is. Or, like, Rec Room or the other, metaverse-ish.
Just the Rec Room screamers.
Yeah, players. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll honestly just have to wait and see.
I mean, I'll be honest though. Generally, it's not. Yeah, for most of it, it's not the kid's fault for being poorly taught. Parents are just bad parents, and kids kind of have to figure things out for themselves at some point, right? And it's just not the best experience for them, right? And honestly,
Mm,
little Timmy being exposed to the honest general opinion of my kind of what I think about VRChat is it is literally the embodiment of the internet of everything on the internet kind of just combined into one place. But then that is not good for little Timmy because for someone's brain that's still developing and just kind of just like everything going everywhere, right? Like that is not good for the amount of like of a bad influence it is on them. You know, it's crazy in my opinion.
yeah.
Of like they shouldn't be exposed to all this stuff. Like there's so much stuff. It's a lot.
Why do you have this headset on your face when you need to be studying your multiplication tables or
Yeah,
whatever?
literally. Like some of these kids are like 10. Like, bro, aren't you in elementary school? Why you got a VR headset?
Well, like I said, I suspect the case now is just it's summertime, so kids aren't quite back in school yet. We'll see.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I haven't really seen much people, like kids. Well, I've seen a lot of people more on VR. Like VR numbers are spiking because it's around summer. But I know it's toward the decently or like middle of the summer and people are going back to school soon. Like I start school tomorrow. Like, but I'm on
yeah,
the fall
so
semester. So like, I mean, I know general people, like I say high school and like some fall semester people are starting like pretty much very soon, right? Like I'm starting tomorrow, but like the school system's very weird for a lot of people. So people are starting at all different points. Like I know some people are starting late September, you know, or like a month from now, or yeah. So
mm,
it's generalized. Yeah.
mm.
I do want to hit a topic though. We did hit a lot of good topics about VR and everything, but oh my god, V. Do you watch anime? Have
Do
you watched
I
anime?
watch anime?
Have you watched anime in the past? Have you watched anime? Are you in anime?
I'm gonna be honest, spicy take. I'm much more of a reader than a
Okay.
watcher.
Okay.
I read not like any majorly popular mangas and things. I mean, I've slowly been getting back into a little bit of anime. I started rewatching Evangelion with a
Let's
couple
go.
friends.
Classic?
Yeah, and then I actually just watched movie, but Summer Wars.
Okay, okay.
2009, yeah, saw that like a couple nights ago. Second time I'd seen it, but
Ooh, recommendation.
so,
You want some recommendation for anime
maybe.
movies? Okay,
Sure,
new one
sure.
that came out? Suzume. Really good. Your Name? Really good one. I know they definitely have this in
I've
the
heard that one's pretty good.
Your Name. Same author, by the way. Your Name, Suzume, same author. Very good.
Okay.
5 centimeters per second. What else? Bubble. Very good.
Mm.
Those are
You know,
some
it's funny you bring this up because like
generalized really good ones. Yeah.
we yeah, on my podcast, because my co-host is a huge anime nerd, like we usually do like end of the show like a couple lightning round questions, and one of the first ones he asks is like, what's your favorite anime?
Oh my god. I do this with all the guests though. I'm like, I love anime. I have to ask, please. But if it's not anime, I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, if it's not anime, here's the next that we go into. Favorite movies, top 5.
Favorite movies top 5? Ooh. I don't watch a whole lot of movies. Can I give top 3? Can I
Top 3, hit it. Let's go.
Let's see. God.
It's really crazy too because I love asking these on the spot questions because you really got to give it some thought. It's like, dang, I've been put on the spot, you know?
Yeah. I'll put. I don't think you're giving me any specific order. It's gonna be really tough.
Oh, don't put it in any specific order. I just say shout out 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll stick with them. I'll stick with that classic because I'm kind of a Ghibli, like Princess Mononoke. Oh man.
Oh my god, so good.
I love that one.
Amazing.
It's I feel like it a little bit better than Spirited Away. Maybe that's a slightly spicy
god,
take,
we gotta talk about this a little. Going into this, Spirited Away freaked me the fuck out. Call me a bitch, but holy shit, the parents turning into pigs and that no face guy freaked me out as a child, bro. God damn. Like,
Oh well, yeah. If you
like
watched it, ooh, ugh.
I watched it when I was like 10. Okay, it freaked me out. I was trying.
Ooh, yeah. Ugh. Ah.
Oh my god. Also, I went into this topic with even some other friends, right? There's so much references in Spirited Away that a younger kid wouldn't understand, like at all. Like there's so much
Mm.
stuff. I had to go rewatch it, like when I was older. But even talk with some of the parents, right? Like they watched it, and even they're like, wait, there are a lot of references that kids wouldn't understand at all. Like totally go over your
Nah.
head. Yeah. Like that's definitely one of
For
them that I'd
sure.
say that I wouldn't say kids shouldn't watch, but it's very not kid friendly. The kid friendly ones are definitely like Totoro, Ponyo. Those ones are great. Yeah, Cat, but we love Cat Bus. Um, what else? I mean, those are like the generalized, very popular ones. One of my other favorites, and very underrated, the one I love, and my favorite, Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. It's my favorite
Mm.
Ghibli movie. I recommend. It is so good.
Yeah. Um. Let's see, cause I'll put another Ghibli like as one of my like more favorite ones, Castle in the Sky.
Oh my god, it's so
I
good. It's so good.
I quite like that one.
It's very
I
good.
really thoroughly enjoyed that one.
That's very well done.
Um.
The story is amazing.
Oh yeah. Um. Oh, I have to pick a third one. Like a film that I
Thoroughly enjoyed.
You know what? I really liked Tron Legacy.
Honestly, I feel like that was a general pretty
Tron
good one.
sequel.
Yeah, that one.
Not the I wouldn't call it definitely like a superb cinematic
Oh,
movie,
no,
but
definitely not.
I quite enjoyed it. I like the original Tron, and I like the concept, and I love that Daft Punk did the soundtrack for it. Like I loved so much about that movie. So
I mean,
I'd probably put
course,
those
yeah.
three. Yeah.
I mean, I can rapid fire my top 5 favorite movies. I'd say definitely like, okay, this is gonna make me like come off as like a film buff, but like, oh my god, like Tarantino movies are masterpieces. I mean, definitely not for everyone, but like just the amount of film shots and the amount of like things incorporated into the first Kill Bill was amazing. Like the amount of cultures, just literally everything, all the shots, all the action, just everything in it. In my opinion, is a film masterpiece. That one's a great one. Nausicaa the Valley of Wind, I think, is a masterpiece of a film. Ghibli, amazing. One of the best ones, I think. Honestly,
Ooh, you did remind me of another favorite, but I'll come back to it.
honestly, Suzume is definitely up there. The soundtrack in that one's amazing. It's beautiful. It's a very simple concept, not anything too crazy. Something I can, it's one of those options where it's like, which is like, oh, you're not an anime at all. I could just recommend this to you. Very simple, not complicated at all. Very general story. Amazing film. I could recommend. I would. Okay, this is hard. I'm putting my own self on the spot here. I gotta pick 2 more. Goddamn. Okay. Honestly, Dolphin Tale and Dolphin Tale 2. Call me weird, but like, I love the ocean. Oh my god, Dolphin Tale is an amazing story. I still cry watching. I still cry watching Dolphin Tale 1. Call me a child. It's amazing. Okay.
Yeah, but you reminded me though that like I definitely have to put the first Matrix movie on like my solid, like people say the second one is like the of the trilogy, like the popular one. And I'm like, yeah, the second one is great, like the fight shots and everything, it's fantastic. But like the original one, just the premise, the proof of concept. Like I minored in philosophy in college. I'm like, oh, machines, and like what does this mean? And like being in a brain in a machine, or
Oh no, that
embedded
first
in
scene,
some
that
sort
one
of
famous scene from the first one where she's like doing all the. That is a famous scene. I love that scene.
bullet
Oh my
time.
god.
Yeah, so definitely the first Matrix movie.
Yeah, and definitely seeing the behind the
up
scenes
there.
for that, of how they did that scene. Oh my god, it's so amazing. Like watching the behind the scenes stuff for me for films is crazy. The production. I like
Possibly Spicy Take Two on that franchise. The fourth movie was fine. I wouldn't rate it like the highest, but the fourth one I thought was just fine. Like,
was okay.
I went in for like an action movie and I enjoyed the story. I don't know. Some people like really don't like
really
the fourth
dogged on
movie.
it. Yeah, like
almost
really
felt like it was
hated
too meta or something.
Yeah. Other than that, I kind of want to generalize. You kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier, but how'd you kind of get into VRChat, or how'd you find about VR when you kind of got in here? Or how'd you find about That's this.
Let's see. 2020, the pandemic hits. I get married like right as the pandemic starts.
Like right as it hits.
Yeah, like April
Okay.
of 2020.
Okay,
Like I
okay.
got married anyways. Side story anyways. But and later in that year I buy a house. And so the responsible adult, I politely go to my spouse at the time and be like, okay, we bought a house and things. Can I buy a VR headset? And she said yes.
Woo!
This was the start of 2021. And I was looking at it at the time as I did want to play games and explore and do stuff. I was kind of using it as a fitness tool. I did a lot of between Beat Saber and Pistol Whip and other things.
I thought generally that is kind of like what people thought VR was for. I thought it was for exercise and stuff at first. Like when I bought my Quest 1 back in 2020, I played Beat Saber and Super Hot. Those are the games I played.
True.
Yeah. Those are very fun.
Yeah.
I love Beat Saber.
Yeah,
I need to buy it
and
on
that's
Steam VR.
probably like either Beat Saber or but I'd also played Super Hot, and I loved Super Hot, like the Pancake, the base
Matrix.
game, and I'd heard about the VR
Matrix.
version.
Super Hot's so cool.
Right, yeah. And so that was another, just kind of exploring it and doing stuff. But and I picked up VR. I bought the headset like January, and then somehow stumbled into VRChat February, and it was very interesting because, like I said, I was trying to discover my gender identity, and as I was going through transition, and it honestly was a major godsend during the throes of COVID. Like, I'm in this house, and I'm not able to go outside and socialize and meet people and figure out who I am and grow as a person. But suddenly I have this technology where I can throw on a headset and be anywhere in the world, talking to like anyone in the world. Like
That's what I
hit
love
the
about
European servers pretty heavy early on because I'm like, wow, you're in the Netherlands. Like, what's it like over there? Well, how are people treating COVID over there?
Yeah.
Shit like that. Like,
oh wait, that's
blew my
interesting,
mind
though.
as a
like,
social
you just
tool.
ask people.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. But also, the first person I ever met, and they literally turned me into a Rindo. My second day of VRChat was I met an Australian in VR. Yeah, they're amazing. I still talk to them. They're great.
So, yeah, the power of that tool of like, there's talking on voice calls and interacting and making friends and being in online communities that way. And I'm like, this. I mean, even here with you, like, this is immediately I was like, this is a game changer.
I'll be honest though, just VR, just like why like having a podcast in VR too. It's just like just this and having you kind of just hear, like this feels decently very real. It's like actually talking to a person that's like right here in VR, just like not on like a Discord call or something. Like this seems way more personal, way more fun. Way more like I I move my hands a lot when I talk. I have heavy ADHD.
Hand gestures and body movement. And yeah. You have a lot more of that. You can convey a lot more of that expressiveness of who you are.
Yeah, and also I can do like a weird thing where I walk up to the camera and be dramatic about it. It's like, hello.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, and I'd been... Yeah, the VRChat is by far definitely my most like heavily played game.
Oh, we're gonna talk about this.
Like
I'm gonna out
the 1,500 hour mark.
I'm gonna out myself. I'm gonna out myself. Mom, if you're watching this, please don't murder me, please, please. It's been almost 8 months. I have 1,700 hours.
Wow.
In VRChat.
I'm gonna double check my Steam like really quick because like I've had 1,643. And
how did I pass you?
2.5 years though.
What the V? Oh no. Oh no. Oh. This is bad. This is bad. Oh no.
I think you might
I'm trapped.
I think you might be living in the metaverse here.
I can't get out. Guys, this is Sword Art Online. Oh my god, I'm stuck. I'm stuck. Get the nerve gear off. Send help.
I'm in.
Please. But honestly, no, I honestly really going into just the depth of it, I really don't regret all the time I spent here. As long as I feel like I'm balancing my life, balancing there's a lot of balance, right? Taking breaks, so you don't go crazy or insane, or even with breaks and vacations and just like doing actual life things like touching grass. It's very just that work life balance and a social life balance is very important. And I'm still
Mm.
very shocked with my over 1,000+ hours of Steam VR. Yes, I've done this all in a Quest 1, call me Copium. But yeah, no, it's an amazing experience. It's really helped me the past 7 to 8 months. Holy shit, has it been a roller coaster? Like, damn. Like this is the most crazy year of my life, I'd say. And it's been amazing. I don't regret it.
Wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah.
Hmm.
The amount of people I've met, the amount of actual reason, and pretty sure everyone can kind of realize of like, I love talking, but I got trapped here, I think inevitably because my ADHD will thrive here. It is a, quote, social game. You can go to anywhere, talk to anyone. And my ADHD is like, I see person. You are not safe. You will become my next victim. I will talk to you. I love talking to everyone.
Ah. Yeah. That's the power of social VR.
Yeah. And just the fact of like I'd say, yeah, my improvisational skills and everything over the years has gotten crazy. Like just the fact of like I could talk for hours just on general things. Like that's why I've always been told I talked a lot since like elementary school. They're like, you talk too much.
Mm.
I'm like, how can I make this a cool piece of content? Having a podcast. I don't talk too much. Totally. Kind of like really, I wouldn't say weird, but like side topic, going back to Unity stuff. The things I've done to Remy, I mean, I like the ocean. I mean, Kaiyo means ocean in Japanese, but then also the dolphin tail I felt like is a cool add-on. I changed the hair color to jet black because it's my actual IRL hair color. The dark brown eyes is my actual eye color. It's very simple changes, but helps me feel a little bit more comfortable here in the virtual world.
Subtle enough to
Yeah.
Changed my hair to purple. I actually dyed my hair purple. I bought this outfit. I even bought a pair of black pants and cut off one leg because I decided not to change these into pants or shorts, which I probably will eventually do.
The one
Who
thing
knows?
I haven't really done IRL yet is I haven't really talked about this much on the podcast or just in general. I mean, it's very obvious on the fact of for me, I'm just very chill. I don't make anything a big deal about anything. I'm very like if people misgender me, I'm like, bro, I'm just chilling. It takes a lot to piss me off. Like I will talk in pretty much any voice I want to talk in. I mean, hell, I do the Asian voice all the time. I'm like, goddamn failure! I will punch your ass back to China because you didn't cook the chicken. Failure. I love doing voices. But I will work on like a feminine voice and everything eventually. I mean, I love voice acting. I love doing this stuff. I mean, I'm just here to vibe, here to chill, here to enjoy VR and have a great time. And honestly, I feel like it's great because just kind of being myself and doing whatever is amazing. And I like how people
kind of.
Oh.
Oh no, go
no.
ahead.
I was gonna say I just like how people think they could easily try to offend people, and some people that are easily offended. Kind of how I taught myself over the years, even just with YouTube, of how I just don't care what people think, which I think is amazing. You just gotta really block that out. Of like when I first got into YouTube, I was like, you really just gotta separate that work-life balance of just not letting people get to you, because it will hurt you in the long run. It will. You really just gotta not care what people think about you at all, and it's helped me a lot.
But yeah, it's just cool, especially with exploring things like virtual identities or gender and stuff, is we kind of get to make the rules up for ourselves. I mean, you talked about like playing with voice, like I enjoy playing with voice as well, doing various like dumb internet cartoon impressions.
Oh, voices are
movie
great.
trailer voices in a world where you can be anything you want. Shit like that. I mean, love it.
I think I'm gonna end it off here. Vee, thank you for coming on. This is amazing. This is very fun, and I'll see you all in the next podcast episode.